college.
You know what's funny is when I was like younger, like reading was not my favorite thing to do, like at all.
Really?
Yeah,
Why
like
so?
I don't know. I just like I again like this would go back to me like not being able to sit still for very long. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was always like tapping, you know what I mean? And I think I saw reading as like a very like still thing
Yeah.
to
I
do.
mean, it is.
And so like back when I was like younger, I didn't read a whole lot. So I couldn't sit here and be like, ah, yes, like,
Extravagancy.
yeah, like War and Peace,
Funnily
great
is a
novel,
word.
yeah, yeah. But I don't necessarily have like a favorite author or like a favorite genre. Like if it hits, it hits. You know what I mean?
But
Like
what made you transition then to liking literature enough to pursue it in college and everything?
I like see that's actually a really good question because I it was not my like for reading, it was my
For
need to
writing.
write.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
which is very weird. I don't know like where that came from at all because like nobody in my family was like a writer or like an artist of any kind. But like when I was a kid, I played the drums and I was always like writing songs. Like if I found them, they would probably be really trash. But like I was like as a kid, always writing songs, always tapping on things.
Mm-hmm. I can relate.
And and I played the viola for a year, 2 years, and I played the trumpet for like 8. The whole time, like, was playing the drums here and there. Play the drums at the worship. So I was always doing music, like in a sense, but I was never like I would never be like, yes, like I'm a musician, like I make music. I would have
Mm-hmm.
never like said that. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
like at the time, I just played the drums. Like
Yeah.
that's all it was. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
No, it's always the phrasing. I
Yeah,
play,
I play the drums. Yeah,
insinuating that you do it. Like, oh
yeah.
yeah, I shoot hoops,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, like oh yeah, like yeah. I play the drums, I play the trumpet, like and I never really thought anything of it. It was just like something I did.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, that it takes a long time to transition between saying you play, between like taking it seriously and then having an outlet for it where you could actually stay in it and say I am a musician, you
that
know?
was one of like that moment, but in the sense of like writing and like doing art, that was like a monumental moment for me. Like claiming that, So like we're talking about like writing
So just for writing or music as well?
for
Did they happen around the same time or
it was kind of that's actually a really good question too. Kind of, yes. So I was always I always liked English, like just because writing came easy to me. Like it wasn't like oh my
which
god,
English though?
like English class in school, right? Like if we had to
Like
write,
what grade?
like
Cuz
say
they
like
changed so much too, you know?
I'll say from like we'll say 8th grade, right?
Just the like did you like the writing parts of it or reading?
It wasn't that I was like oh I love this. It was just like oh like that's like
Just the overall class?
I never saw it as oh I really like this. This is what I want to do at the time. Like this is one of my biggest problems with like writing in high school in like in that setting is like when you take English class in high school it's very much like everything you write is like a 5 paragraph essay. It's argumentative. You're like proving a point. You're doing research, which is like
It's the
yep,
pass the way that they grade a
yeah.
assignment pretty
Yeah,
much, you know?
and so it was like it wasn't like oh I love this. It was just like oh yeah like I could do that. Like it wasn't
Yeah, yeah.
hard for me to sit down and write. It kind of like it came naturally. Like I would do it and like
Yep.
that was it.
Yeah, none of us
Um,
realized that early enough
yeah,
how to trust that,
yeah.
you know?
And then I got to college, and at the time I was taking a lot of pictures. I was doing a lot of that, and I wanted to make this blog, and so I was taking pictures, and then I would write something to the picture. And it was very like stream of consciousness. I've noticed like when I went back and looked through a couple of the things that I had like put on this blog that no longer exists. It was all like very stream of consciousness. It was like kind of obscure, but like slightly poetic, which was like cool looking back. I was like, oh man, like that wasn't bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But like not thinking like I like this is something I need to do or like oh I'm a writer, I'm an artist. Like it was literally just like oh like I really enjoy this, so I'm gonna do it. Like this is what I want to spend my time doing. And then I remember I was taking a class. I want to say it was like it was either the end of my so I did 5 years in college. So sophomore year It was either the end of sophomore year, but I'm fairly certain that it was the first semester of junior year. And I was taking a class because every semester I had taken an elective that like would fill a requirement, but like had something to do with writing because like I enjoyed it. So it wasn't hard. Like going to class and doing that work wasn't like a difficult thing. It just like I could do it. So it was like, it was like
Yeah.
an easy
Yeah.
way to pass a class, And
Yeah, I never found difficulty passing the English ones too.
Yeah.
I often found myself, we'll say, condensing the workload, aka like Spark Notes, and reading just enough to get the grades
That
and
you
stuff,
could write
which
the paper,
I wish I
yeah.
had more time, but in high school
Yeah.
you're so busy, like you get
Yeah.
a job for the first time,
no,
you're
this
in
is
AP
college.
classes.
I'm talking college. Like when I was in college.
Well, I only took 2 English classes in college.
Yeah.
One was in Dublin. So.
Every semester that I had in college, I had a writing course. Like there was something where
Makes
I
sense.
was writing something.
Yeah.
But like up until this point, I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
hadn't thought about it at all. And I was like in as undecided, and I was gonna try to do something with business because like I thought it was gonna make me a lot of money. And that's what everybody tells you. It's like, oh, like if you're gonna go to school, you should do business or like something in the medical field or be an engineer. Like you go to school and you're like, I need to find a career that's gonna like make me a lot of money. Like going
Doctor,
into it.
lawyer,
yeah.
CEO.
Yeah, that was like my mentality going in. So I was taking this writing class junior year. I'm gonna say junior year because I'm fairly certain that's when it was. Because I changed my major really late, which is why I had the 5th year. So it was like the first semester of junior year, and I was taking this like it was like a nonfiction class, and we were doing a lot of creative nonfiction, which I had like never heard about before. So this was
Did you
like
ever do it just for fun before then?
probably like without knowing. That's what I'm saying. Like probably without knowing what I was
Yeah,
doing.
right,
So we
right.
start taking, I'd start taking this class, and I was like 4 assignments behind. Like just hadn't turned them in. And after class one day, I said to my professor, I was like, yo, like, can I come to your office hours? Like, I have some stuff I have to turn in, And I was like, thinking to myself, even if she doesn't grade it because it's like 4 assignments behind, like, I just want to turn it in because, I want to know that I did the work.
Yeah, and showing your face too.
Yeah.
That always helped. And yeah.
Yeah. So I go to the office hours, and we're sitting there talking, and, I'm asking about the assignments that I have to turn in. And she was like, yeah, like, all right, well, whenever you get them done, email them, I'll grade them. All is well. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much. And I think that the meeting is over. And so I'm like, in my mind, like you're like, like in your mind, you're like, where are all my things? I got to start collecting them so that I can leave this meeting. And she's like, before you leave though, like, do you know why I'm being so lenient with you? And I was like, no. And honestly, I thought about it my entire walk over here. Because I had, like, walking over there, I was like, I do not know why this woman has even agreed to meet with me. Like, I'm 4 assignments behind. She probably thinks I'm like a derelict. Like, and so she was like, do you know why I'm being so lenient with you? And I was like, no, I thought about it my whole way over here. I have no clue. And she's like, you're a damn good writer. And I was like, what? And she was like, you are a really good writer. And I was like, how do you know that? I've turned in like 2 assignments. She's like, oh, I know, but I know. So
Yeah,
I know. And I was like, what? And she was like, what's your major? And I was like, I'm thinking about doing marketing. She was like, why? I was like, money. She was like, seriously? I was like, yeah. Like, I was like, yeah. And she goes, man, she's like, you're a writer. Like, I know it. She's like, you are a writer. I know it. And I was like, you think? Something like that. And she goes, dude, this was the funniest. This is like, I refer to this woman as my fairy godwriter because I only had her for 1 semester, but she changed like the entire course of my life with like this one meeting. And she was like, yeah, like, you're a writer. I know it. She's like, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Like, just, tell me if this ever happens. I was like, all right, yeah, sure. And she goes, when you walk down the street, is there a voice in the back of your head that like narrates everything that goes on around you? And I was like, oh yeah, like everywhere I go, like it's like
in Birdman.
yeah, like everywhere I go, like I hear this voice like narrating. Like she's like, like if you see 2 people sitting on a bench, do you notice what they're wearing? I was like, yeah, like I notice all that shit. She's like, yep, you're a writer. All right, next. she goes,
Check. she has a pre-checkboard.
She does.
She just scratch them off.
Yeah.
She
goes,
does that every
yeah.
fucking
She goes, yeah.
office hours. She just brings out just like a stack of those.
Yeah, so she's like, when you walk down the street, is there a voice in your head that narrates the things that go on around you? I was like, yeah. She goes, it's like, check. She goes, "Do you notice do you notice details like, what someone's wearing or like two people interacting on a bench? Like, do you notice like what their interactions like seem like?" And I was like, "Yeah, like all the time. Like I see all that shit."
Hmm.
And she's like, "Check."
And filling in the blanks too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and she was like, she goes, "Oh, dude, she had me when she said this." She goes, "Do you ever wake up on Wednesday and go, I have no idea what I did yesterday at all?" She was like, "You have like no recollection of Tuesday?" I was like, "Dude, remember last week when I missed your class?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I woke up that morning at 10:30 and was brushing my teeth because I thought it was a Wednesday." And I went, "Shit, it's Tuesday. Like, I should have been in class." Like, just like blurted it out. I was like, "Dude, remember when I like missed your class last
Yeah,
week?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
totally didn't plan that. I woke up at 10:30 thinking it was Wednesday. She's like, "Yeah, oh yeah, like you're a writer." She's like,
Damn.
"Yeah." I go, "Yeah, man, you think?" She goes, "All right, last question." She goes, "What did you get on the writing section of your SATs?" I was like, "Oh, I got a 600." She was like she wrote, you know
Well
that
done.
face where you're like, like I can't believe I have to say this out loud.
Yeah.
She looks at me, she goes, "You got all the points you could get on the writing portion of the SATs. Like, never once thought that like you might be a writer." I was like, "Nah, because when you apply to Pitt, like they only care about math and reading." She was like, "Boy," like, "Yeah."
I know.
And like the next semester, I took intro to fiction and like boom, changed my major. Like next semester, intro to fiction, got there and it was like, "Oh shit, like this is awesome. I love this." And then like from that class on, like I was a writing major.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
it's funny how small of a notion someone has to give sometimes, where it's just them saying like, "Well, this just makes sense. How are you not seeing it that way?" You know?
Yeah,
But
that was the
that's
conversation we had. She was literally talking. She was like, I like so at one point the look on her face was like, "I can't even believe that I have to like spell this out for you. Like, are you clueless?" But it was like so true because I was. And she was like, "Yeah." It's like, "Yeah, man, like you're a writer." And after all these questions, I looked at her and I was like, "So this is like a normal thing?" Because I've been walking around here feeling like I'm losing my mind.
oh
Like
yeah.
I thought I was crazy. And she was like, "Oh no, like
Yep.
you're just a writer." She was like, "We are your people. Like,
No,
come
I'm telling
home."
you,
I
that
was
by
like,
far,
"What?"
that was the most valuable thing in college for me, was just through osmosis, seeing other people either like do their own version of it, or teachers saying a similar thing to me, or just like
Yeah.
friends saying that. It's such a like, yeah, like, can you give any facts to like why you don't think that way? And
And you're like,
you're
"No."
like, why have I never thought, like,
Yeah.
internalized it,
Uh-huh.
but it helps you internalize it. But no, for real, that's a huge thing that woman did for you too.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God, yeah.
she inspired you to follow what you're naturally good at.
She's
And
like
wait, do you think that influenced your decision to become a teacher yourself too? Because you saw how important that was. Did you ever think about that?
yeah, I definitely think about that because I think that as a teacher, you're in such a like a crucial. I'm gonna use the word crucial. You're in a very crucial position in the lives of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
In even in like kindergarten, you know what I mean? Like your teacher, like that's such a crucial role,
And the
and
magnitude of the effect on someone younger
yeah,
too, you
yeah.
know?
And then like this goes back to like talking about like how I didn't like science because I had like weird science teachers. You know what I mean? Like that probably changed my opinion on doing science. You know what I mean? Like just like little things like that. But as a teacher, like you do have such an impact, like on so many different lives. And like I've only been like half teaching for like a couple months,
Mm-hmm.
but just like being in a school building, like you see that, like the effect that like these teachers have and how awesome they are at their jobs.
Absolutely,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?